Buddhism as a prosperity gospel. Stories of merchants are notably absent in Brahmin scriptures, but are widespread in Buddhist scriptures. Shortly after Gautama Buddha attained nirvana, he was met by two merchants who fed him, but admitted they could not practice the rigorous meditation techniques. The Buddha therefore advised them to spread the word of Dhamma by building stupas containing his relics. He even gave them a lock of his hair and demonstrated the design of the stupa by overturning a bowl into a folded cloth. Thus began the tradition of building stupas and funding Buddhist activities, earning merchants good karma and consequently good fortune, effectively transforming Buddhism into a form of the prosperity gospel. This aspect of Buddhism is rarely highlighted. This is because the Europeans saw in Buddha an anti-ritualistic and anti-Hindu rational thinker in the 19th century. Then, Buddhism was seen as a social justice by the Dalit politicians, and its new form was named Navayana Buddhism. The long mercantile history of Buddhism was eclipsed, especially its role in promoting entrepreneurship, trade, and banking. Many merchants supported Buddhism, as evidenced in the storytelling traditions. For instance, there is the story of the Kumbhaka Ghosha. During an epidemic, a young merchant's family was wiped out. The servant's son was told the secret location of a hidden treasure, but was advised to flee and return only after 12 years. When the boy returned as a young man, he realized that retrieving the treasure would likely lead to his arrest by the authorities. Instead, he took a job as a town crier. His voice impressed King Bimbisara, who suspected that the boy came from an aristocratic background. The king sent a maid to uncover the truth. Upon learning the boy's story, the king was impressed by his intelligence and made him part of the royal household. It is well known that Gautama Buddha had two male disciples and two female disciples, but he also had a male and a female merchant who funded his earliest institutions. The Jetavana, where the Buddha delivered his sermons, was purchased by a generous merchant named Anantapindika, who continued to support the Buddhist establishment even after falling into poverty. His devotion impressed the gods, who ensured that all those who owed him repaid their loans, thereby restoring Anantapindika's fortunes. Vishakha, a wealthy Buddhist woman, married into a Jain household but impressed her father-in-law with her intelligence, ultimately leading him to convert into Buddhism. On one occasion, she remarked that he was eating stale food, which angered him, until she explained that the stale food referred to the old karma that had brought him wealth. She told him that to generate new karma, he needed to support the Buddhist establishments. Much later, in the Milinda Panha, we hear of the courtesian Vindumati, who treated all her customers equally regardless to their social status, so long as they paid her fee. This impartial treatment of the customers was said to be the reason for her fortune. Courtesians, being independent women who did not gain status in the society because they refused to take husbands, often patronized Buddhism by feeding monks. For example, the courtesian Amrapali purchased a mango orchard for the Buddha. This explains why Buddhist sites are typically found along trading routes across India, highlighting the deep connection between Buddhism and the merchant community. Bharhat and Sanchi, the earliest Buddhist stupas, were built along trade routes from Pataliputra to Narmada and Gujarat. Ajanta, Ellora, Kanheri and the Bhaja caves mark the trade routes connecting the Godavari basin to the western seaport of Supara near modern Mumbai. Nagarjunakonda marks the Buddhist part of Andhra Pradesh, while the Kanganahalli is located in the Buddhist trade centers of Karnataka. Gandhar Buddhist art near Peshawar marks the Buddhist trade routes that connected to Kabul and beyond. Mathura, on the banks of Yamuna, a major trading center, was also famous for the earliest Buddha images, which are nearly 2000 years old. Trading centers along Mahanadi River of Odisha and sites like Sirpur and Ratnagiri were all trading centers as well as Buddhist sites. In Mahayana Buddhism, which developed around 500 AD, we find images of Avalokiteshvara being invoked by the traders and the sailors to protect them from maritime disasters, wild animals, accidents and thieves. These are found at the eastern and western coastal sites of India, Sri Lanka and Java. Ashokan edicts are found on all Buddhist trade routes, for the income of the royal Mauryan state came from toll tax. The Ashokan wheel was not simply Buddha's Dharma Chakra, it also was the wheel of the caravans and a symbol of the highways radiating in and out of the royal market. In Buddhist stories, Buddha was described as the great caravan leader and guardian. So it is as much an economic reason that brought Ashoka close to Buddhism as it was for his spiritual reasons. We hope you have liked our article. Please stay subscribed for more notable information. Thank you.